Riddick-Tynes. I'm a music producer, songwriter. I'm also an A&R executive over at Arista Records. And you're tuned in to Rolling Out.
What's going on, everybody? Back again here for Rolling Out Music. Your host, Malik Brown. Of course, when I say Rolling Out Music, we are here talking to the best producers, the best directors, the best songwriters, musicians, everything. We talking to all of them. And today I'm with my guy, Khris Riddick-Tynes. My guy, Khris, what's going on?
What's popping? Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you.
For sure, man. Thank you for coming on, taking the time out to speak with us. You know, you got a lot going on, man. You're a busy guy. I mean, but you make a lot of things happen. You make a lot of things happen when it comes in the music world. I guess to start off, what was it about music for you? Where did your love for music come from?
Man, it's in my DNA. My grandmother was a singer and a songwriter. My father is a singer and a songwriter. It's just in my blood. So it's I don't yeah, just born to do it.
For sure. So, just music producer.
Yeah.
What led you to kind of get into to kind of dive into that lane specifically?
Um, it's actually pretty funny. I mean, I will always study sounds and songs, even from when I was a kid and I'm listening to a Michael Jackson record, I will be listening to like the guitar lick on panned on the left side of the headphones and just studying and like, oh, what is that kind of snare sound and trying to figure out different things. And what actually kind of propelled me into it was my dad had a studio in our garage. And my dad was an analog guy, so he had all the keyboards and stuff. But what ended up happening was my uncle convinced him to get on the Pro Tools and to Logic. And my dad is not a tech guy; he's an analog guy, so he really didn't know how to use it. And I just kind of started going back there and started teaching myself Logic and Pro Tools, and kind of became, the neighborhood engineer for a lot of cats that were writing and producing and artists in the neighborhood. And then and by the neighborhood I mean LA, right? So I went to St. Bernard's High School. We had a lot of people that came out of our school and out of our, neighboring schools, Fairfax, Washington, I mean Westchester, Sarah, a lot of acts, a lot of people that, yeah, a lot of people that out of the city. And they would just come to the crib and record. And then my godfather, Neil Pogue, is a mix engineer, and he kind of went with what I was doing. And I started learning how to produce in a reverse way where, you know, um, I learned how to mix records first and record records, and then was like, "Oh, I could do melodies," or, "Oh, I could do drums," or, "I could program," or, "I know how to do that," and then just kinda built on that and turned into producing records and not just recording them. That was a convoluted way to get there, but
That's dope. That's dope. So I mean, you talk about, I guess the early start and everything. When do you remember that moment where you were like, dang, this is something I could like legit do? Was it like a person that came in and was like, oh, like dang, this person came, I'm producing for this person, or was it like, oh, dang, I just made this fire beat, like, or what was it for you where it was like, oh yeah, this is my moment?
man, this is my moment. Or I know I could really do this. Man, there was this local kid named Lamar J. Um, he's from Long Beach or Lakewood. Yeah, he was out of Lakewood. And that was kind of like the first man, I had to be like 17 or something like that. I was a kid, but we linked up and we did a few records together. And we burnt CDs and would hand them out and stuff. And that was kind of the first project that I kind of like had my hand in and directing and writing and producing. And that was a really cool experience. And it was kind of gave me the confidence to be like, okay, I could do this for other artists. And then I think the first reaffirming thing from an artist was Wanye from Boys to Men. Gave me a shot, me and my boy Al, a shot at recording a record that we did when we came up out of Babyface's studio, and Wanye kind of, we were working in this little closet, and Wanye poked his head in and it was like, "Yo, what y'all cooking up in here?" He's like, "Y'all young, we need that flavor." And they took this record that we did and took it to the next level. So I was actually like 19 cutting Nate and Wanye and Sean cutting all their vocals on this song, which was pretty gnarly. Uh, uh, for me because these guys are the vocal gods, and for them to entrust just recording something that I produced or wrote was a really cool experience and affirming, and it's like, okay, cool.
When you are in the room with those artists, is it more of them trying to catch your vibe of what you have, or is it more of you trying to catch their vibe? I mean, I can think of, I just recently saw like a little clip on Twitter, like Pharrell was playing this beat and he called Jay-Z. He was like, man, like you gotta hear this. And
Yeah.
Jay came over, he started like Pharrell started explaining like, I feel I can hear this, I can hear this, like I can hear you doing this. And then the Kanye documentary, of course, he did the same thing. Like what is that vibe or that feel when you're in that room with those artists?
I mean, it's always good to listen to what they want. I mean, sometimes, I'll give you an example. So like Kalani is somebody who I work with quite often. That's like my sister, and I love her with all my heart. And she's an amazing collaborator, but she'll come in and she's like, "Yo, I want to do something like this, or I'm going through this," and then I'll be responsible for making her thought into a tangible sound. And if it's a breakup, or if it's being in love, or if it's fun, or whatever the feeling is, I'm responsible kind of doing that. And then once I kind of see what mood she's in or where she's at, I can start kind of directing the ideas that I think, like, "Yo, what about this track, or what about that?" And it'll turn into what it's some dope stuff. But I think it's always good for me just to kind of listen and see where they want to go and fill in the blanks and kind of go, you give them what they want. It's like getting a tailored suit. You know what I'm saying? If you like, "Yo, I want a black suit," I'm not gonna be like, "Yo, take this pink suit." You're like, "I need a black suit," um, but I can also be like, "Yo, these gold shoes, or this silver tie, or this whatever, that'll look fly." And then you're like, "Oh," you know. Um, so yeah, I mean, with artists like that, you gotta, there's a dance. And then sometimes with other artists, there's a vision that I may have that I'm like, "Yo, like there's this wonderful artist that I work with named Itman." And when we went in, I just kind of had um just like a I saw like a dream. Like I saw the direction, I saw the records, I saw the everything, and I was like, "Yo, this is where we need to go." And she's like, "Fuck it, let's roll." So it can happen either way.
Where did that I guess connection come with Leon? Of course, and the Rascals and everything. How did you able to connect with Leon and build that?
Man, that was a long time ago, and we were so young. But there was a kid, a rapper named Jinsu, who I was working with and doing some tracks with, and I think we needed some guitar on a song or something, or a hook. And I think he was like, "Yo, I know this cat Leon. He plays guitar and he sings. We should have him pull up." And we just never. He came to the studio and he just never left, and we just worked every day since then. And we just, yeah, that's kind of how that happened. And I was at Babyface's studio, and that was kind of like our hub. Yeah.
So yeah, I know you've been able to work with Babyface, Ella May, Tiller, of course, SZA, of course. I mean, what have you learned, or what is that one piece of advice that you maybe got from either one of those that kind of has stuck with you throughout your life or your career?
Um, Man, I think the main thing with all these artists and all these collaborators is just being a student and listening, right? Like um you can learn so much by listening and just giving people what they want, but knowing how to do it tastefully. You know what I'm saying? Like knowing how to elevate even beyond their expectation of what they want. And I think that's the key, right? Um, I think a lot of times with producers, um, and especially guys that just make beats, um, they try to get the artist to fit the beat that they make. And I think that what I've learned is that you have to kind of elevate what the artist wants, which is a skill in itself because you got to be able to. If you can't do it, you got to know who to bring in to do it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what being a great producer is. When you look at Quincy and you look at, um, all the great producers of our time, they know who to bring in, even if they can't necessarily do it. You know?
So, of course, SZA had an amazing 2023.
Yeah.
It almost felt like SOS came out in 2023, but it came out at the end of 2022, which is crazy. but
Crazy, right? I was looking at that the other day. I was like, somebody did like the best songs that came out in 2023. And I was like,
right. No, crazy. It's crazy. I mean, we did a whole like our website. We did a top 10 R&B albums of 2023, and we put SOS in there. I was like, this came out at the end of, but I mean, look,
I'll
everything
take it. I'll
happened.
take it though. I'll take it,
Right,
bro.
that's what I'm saying. I'll take it. But of course, Snooze. How was it, creating that song, working with SZA, of course, working with Leon as well, in creating that.
Yeah. It was awesome, man. The initial idea of even doing the session came through, Face had asked me to produce with him his Girls Night Out album. And the first, because a lot of the girls that are on the project are close collaborators of mine. So it just kind of meshed perfectly. And I was in Atlanta. I want to say I think I was working with, I think I went to go meet with Baby Tate, actually, ironically. And I was in Atlanta, and I got a call from Face. He's like, "Yo, we're gonna start the album, and the first session is gonna be with SZA. Can you make it back in town?" I'm like, "All right, cool." So I came down, was on a plane, and just kind of had the pocket of the drums in my head already. So I was like, "Yo, let me just kind of put this like kind of thing down." So I did the drums on Logic on the airplane, touchdown. There's another song that we did, or track that we did that she wrote and she cut. And as she was cutting that song, um, I had gave the session to Leon, and then Leon in like, because at Babyface Studio, there's two rooms. There's a B room and then there's a C room, which is a smaller room, a production room. And Leon was in there, and I gave him the session, and he did his thing on it. And then BLK, did the thing with the keys, and he was playing it. And as she was um coming out of, so like the way the studio works is like there's a recording booth, and then there's the actual control room, and then over here is the C room, right? So she comes out of the recording booth, and she hears the beat to Snooze that we just made. And she's like, she doesn't even go into the control room. She goes immediately into the C room, and she's like, "Yo, load that up. I want to do that next." And with her, it's like, if she's warm or if she's hot, just go. Cause and she took it, and she went in there, and she put her headphones on, and she did the whole thing in like 15, 20 minutes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Being in that room, I mean, and being able to witness that. I mean, I'm not sure if y'all knew that was going to be the one or the hit, but I mean, just being in that room, when that happened, like how was that feeling?
Um it was I just knew it was dope. I was like, this shit is fire. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta remember, as producers and writers, we do so many songs. So many songs. Like literally, like maybe, maybe there's probably about 20,000 songs in the catalog, right? Just like of the whole career. So you don't really get too high or too low, and you don't really know when stuff's coming. You don't really, so it was like, this is dope, but we don't know you know, when it's coming out. You know what I'm saying? So it 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 ended up finding it the light, and she ended up coming back to it and finishing it out, and doing it. They ended up doing it and putting it out. But I think we knew it was special, but we didn't know like what was gonna happen. And I think you gotta, as a producer, you gotta desensitize yourself from feeling getting too attached to songs, because you just never know. You never know when they're gonna come or not.
Have you ever had that moment where you kind of were like, I guess, dang, like I feel like this is the one, and then maybe it didn't get the traction that you wanted, or have you always been, I guess, level headed in a sense?
Man, if you ask me advice I learned from mentors, it's always never get too high, never get too low. So even with the success and this and that, it's just like, man, keep it here. Keep it here, keep it chill, because you just never know. It's like the shit that you think is gonna be the hottest joint, you know, doesn't perform the way you might think. And I think that you're like, oh, okay, this is dope, it's cool, and it ends up being being the one. So I just learned just to be cool and be easy and just, stay out the way.
I feel it. I feel it. I feel it.
Yeah.
For you, is there anybody that you want to work with? Any future or well, future like artist or something like that that you or somebody that just came out recently that you might want to do some work with? It. Is there anybody on that bucket list?
Yeah, I mean, I like Tyler a lot. I like this kid, this dude, not kid, but this dude Dijon. He's actually really fire. I listen to his stuff all the time. Dominic Fike, I really like his stuff. Um, you know, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot. I'm always digging in, crate digging in, trying to figure out, what's going on and what's tight.
Sure. Wrapping it up, Khris. Some tips and advice. Of course, you got some tips and advice from those artists, and
Yeah.
it's stay stay level headed. But is there any other advice that you would want to give to those up and coming producers? Trying to make a name for themselves, trying to get in the industry. What are some things that you would tell them?
Man, my advice is just find mentors and perfect the craft and study. You find people that there's a blueprint, right? Like you find people that did what you want to do and you follow that blueprint. And if you're, you find a way. I mean, honestly, try to just find a way to get that mentorship from them. Especially if you're in LA, because there's so much room for, you know, for growth and so much access to stuff. Um, and one thing that successful people love doing is talking about themselves, and they will tell you how to get there. You just got to get in front of them. So, study. Make sure you got the product and be prepared for when it's time to press play. And don't be afraid to ask questions because closed mouth don't get fed.
That's facts. Well,
Yeah.
Khris, man, thank you so much for coming on, man. We appreciate your time. We're here supporting you with Rolling Out as always. Before we
Um,
go,
yeah.
let the people know where they can find you. Got anything coming up? Let the people know.
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram at Khris Riddick-Tynes. So at KhrisRiddicktines.
Sure. Well, y'all heard it here first. Thank you again, Khris, for coming on, man. Thank y'all, everybody, for checking us out. This is Rolling Out Music, your host, Malik Brown, my special guest, Khris Riddick-Tynes, and we are out.